Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
So great to get to be here in this enlightened conversation with you both.
Yes. Happy
enlightened conversation that we don't even know what it's going to be about yet, but it'll be beautiful.
We are on the cutting edge.
Well, Angela just got back from a really inspiring trip, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Tell us about that. And then if you have any questions for me, just go for it. There are some things on my heart and mind, but it isn't anything necessarily that we have to bring up. But first, I want to hear about Angela's trip. Where did you go and what did you do?
Well, I went on the Abraham Hicks land cruise, Cancun.
Oh, yeah.
And I added 3 extra days, and oh my God, it was just the best thing ever. It really was. It really was. I faced numerous fears at a zip line thing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I look at the pictures from the zip line roller coaster and say, oh my God, Angela, you really did that.
You go, girl. Woo! Energy at you. Good for you.
Whereas a Superman, it's like, sign me up. You could put one of those outside my house and I would do it every day. Truthfully.
Wow.
All right, so what's on your, we have to know what's on your heart and mind.
Yeah, well, I want to know something cool that you learned through Abraham Hicks.
Yeah, please. You know you brought something back.
I have a video about it. Yeah. Accept whatever comes like you wanted it. The minute you have a negative.
Oh my gosh.
The minute you have a negative feeling, know that that is not in alignment with your source self. So try to flip it around in a little, like 14 seconds if you can. Have just a cadre of things you can think about and remember, a sensory touch. This is what good feels like. I'm going back there.
Fabulous.
So, what's on your heart?
Did we lose Elsie? Or?
We lost Elsie. You coming back?
You dropped off. You did, sister.
Elsie.
I'm going to type in. You did. Okay. So that is fabulous. And, I'm delighted to hear what you just said because it's an interesting thing. As an ACIM teacher, A Course in Miracles, just for those who don't know about it, okay, there it is. I always have it close by when we're doing this, just in case I have to read or quote. But A Course in Miracles, as an ACIM teacher, I am all the time. I cannot even begin to tell you, Angela, how often I am asked the question, how does this line up with what Abraham, the consciousness that our dear sweet friend Esther channels? How does this line up with what Esther teaches or what Abraham teaches us? And in point of actual fact, it lines up perfectly well, but the thing that's important for people to comprehend is that what Abraham is teaching is not coming from the point of view of our divine knowingness. It's not. This is important differentiation. A Course in Miracles is a process. Jesus Christ, who channeled A Course in Miracles, tells us very emphatically it's not the only process that will work. It is yet another process that will work. What to work to what? The whole point of the Course is to bring us to a state of peace, which means we've been lifted out of. Now I'm going to draw a picture. Here we have A Course in Miracles talks about. Hi, girlfriend. Welcome back, Elsie.
I'm listening.
Welcome back, Elsie.
Yeah.
Okay, so A Course in Miracles talk about the lower vibrational frequency of the egoic consciousness. It doesn't mean lower as in less important. Please know that. It doesn't mean lower as in less spiritual. It doesn't mean that. We are spirit beings having a spiritual having a physical sentient, which means the senses, experience here. That's not low. That's not less spiritual. It is simply more temporal, denser, compacted energy. So it isn't less than, it's just denser, right? Meaning the frequency is heavier because it's denser. So the ACIM talks about the lower vibrational frequency of the ego, which is common. Yours and mine are the same, but it takes many forms. The ego is common. Whatever mass mania anybody has ever felt or thought, we've all felt or thought it in some form. And then we have the higher vibrational frequency, which is divine mind, knowing who we really are. Now, I'm going to point out several things about divine mind, knowing who we really are. And of course, again, I'm teaching ACIM, right? Then I'm going to compare and contrast that with what Abraham Hicks teaches. Okay. They're actually the same. They're the same, but you need to understand the point of view from which they both come. And I just gave you a hint just then. The point of view of ACIM, it's teaching us from divine mind, looking down on this egoic illusion. Mm-hmm. Abraham is teaching how to live more effectively in the illusion.
I mean, we were given a brain, right? It's
yes, huge difference, huge difference. Now, is process bad? Because Abraham is teaching us how to live a process, which Abraham calls the law of attraction. Anciently, it's been called everything you can imagine. The law of reciprocity, the law of reaping and sowing. It's been called as above, so below. There's the two minds, divine mind and egoic mind. The word picture is just a picture, because in point of actual fact, it's all one. Important to know, in point of actual fact, it's all one. It's just a picture. The divine mind feels light, feels joyous. Egoic thinking can feel very heavy, and it involves a process. Okay, so now let me talk from ACIM terminology for a moment. Does God have karma? No. No. God doesn't have karma. So when you are coming from a divine awareness, there's no process. God doesn't have to learn anything. God doesn't have to pray to become anything. God doesn't have to try to manifest anything. Divine mind, divine awareness, we already are all that stuff.
You know, can I add that I was thinking today when I woke up about like how we give birth to our children, that we didn't come from a place where we were thinking, okay, this is what I need to heal. There was no brain involved. And I thought, once we get in physical form, it's what we attract within our physical form. And as our little babies come to us, they come in what their form is. And it all happens here. I mean, it was just fascinating to me. And this hand in hand.
Elsie, fabulous awareness, girlfriend. That is enlightened thinking. So differentiating the two, what Abraham teaches versus, I'm going to say versus, even though they both teach the same thing, they're just looking at it from the opposite point of view. So it's the exact same thing. Egoic, this egoic illusion, we use process in order to transcend the egoic illusion and be in divine mind. Abraham is teaching us how to live in this egoic illusion more effectively. Process is all about lifting us out of the egoic illusion, a little higher understanding, a little higher understanding, a little higher understanding, until we go, oh. And then we're in divine mind where you don't need any process at all. You are that, and I'm telling you, you create at the speed of thought. Oh my gosh, it is so exciting. I have goosebumps all over my body, even thinking about the amazing things that transpire in my life when I am in divine mind, divine awareness, knowing I don't need process. Also, so everything Abraham teaches, of course, is absolutely correct. Now, let's talk about this for a moment. Do you suppose Jesus Christ might just be part of, or the consciousness we call in this egoic illusion, when he walked in this incarnation, when that being walked in this incarnation, we gave him the name Jesus Christ? Well, actually, it was Yeshua ben Yosef, because he was a Jew, he was Hebrew, he's not Jesus at all. So all those people who say, there's no other name given among heaven whereby men must be saved. Okay, when they call him Jesus Christ and they're talking literally about a name, they're automatically wrong because they're not calling him by the right name. Anyway, so that's ridiculous, isn't it? Because it's talking about a being, which is the being that we're all a part of. The one being. So that one being we called in the New Testament recorded experience, incarnation, we called him Jesus Christ in that incarnation. He was Krishna before that, and Muhammad, and Buddha, and Vishnu. I mean, it doesn't matter what name you call him, it's the same being, and we are that, the Course in Miracles says. Okay, so A Course in Miracles teaches us Jesus channeled this material from divine mind, divine awareness up here, channeled into the lower vibrational frequency thought process of the ego, the egoic illusion. Just meaning it's denser, not that it's worse. Okay, but we've forgotten who we really are. In this egoic illusion, we forget. What is the egoic illusion? According to ACIM, it is the thought of separation from God. Well, we're not separate from God. When we know we're not separate from God, that is called the atonement, or the at-one-ment. The at-one-ment, we're all one. We're not separate from God. We're not separate from each other. It looks like you're over there. What city are you in, Angela?
Napa.
You're in Napa. Awesome. What city are you in, Elsie?
Long Beach.
And I'm in Salt Lake City. You know, you would think we're separate, but we're not. The energy of spirit, which is who we really are, divine mind awareness. We're not the body, so we're not these places where we live. Okay, so Jesus Christ. Yes, Angela, yeah.
I was going to say that we just recently lost one of our cats, and because of everything I've learned, though, I don't feel like he's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? So everyone out there who has ever lost an animal, the thought of loss is only in the egoic illusion. You didn't lose anything. That's right, Elsie.
Sorry.
We have them with us. Even my father's death, and you both know I was very close to my dad. He and I were kindred spirits. I adored him. He adored me back. And when he passed away last year, for, a little while, I laid down and sucked my thumb like a little girl, feeling sorry for myself, having this physical experience, right? And then, but the whole time I was really enveloped in a knowingness that I still have him with me. And then, honestly, I'm going to tell you, he literally did manifest himself to me, and it's really cool. My husband was there, and we talked to my dad, even though we couldn't see him, but we walked into the bedroom of my mother's house when we were visiting last Thanksgiving. We walked into the master bedroom, and there's a rocking chair there in front of the door. I opened the door, of course, I threw on the light, and then my husband was standing right behind me, so we were kind of walking in together, and the rocking chair moved immediately, like rocked back and forth. And I stopped. I said, Paul, did you see the rocking chair move? He said, yeah. Did you hit it with the door? It's like a foot away from where the door would hit it. Do you suppose it was the air? He asked. I said, well, let's just stand here a minute. Dad, is that you? Rocks the chair again. And it rocked.
Oh, I love that.
We were both standing there watching it, and the chair rocked. And then I looked at Paul, and Paul looked at me, and we went, oh, Dad's here. He's telling us he's still alive. Of course, I knew that all along, but he literally manifested to us that happening. And when I told my mother the next morning, and I was a little iffy about telling my mom, because she already thinks I'm weird and need medication. When I told my mom the next morning, and I don't know why I felt like telling my mom, but I felt like it, and she said, she believed me. First time ever in her entire life, she did not tell me I need medication when I have my spiritual experiences. She actually said, I believe that. I've had things like that happen. Mm-hmm. I said, Mom, the spirit world is right here. It's just a different dimension of vibrational frequency. your cat is loving this talk right now. Don't be surprised if something your cat loved moves right now, just to show you. Anyway, by the way, a little bit later, we were on the other side of the chair, and I said to my husband, I said, I wish he would do it again. I want him to move the chair again. And we're looking at the chair now, the rocking chair from the other side of the rocking chair. And as soon as I said that, the rocking chair rocked a third time. Talk about confirmation. Paul and I both saw it. We looked at each other. Oh, this is so cool. So anyway, there you go. And it looked like Angela wanted to say something a second ago. I just wanted to finish that cool story. Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, since my parents have passed, my dad passed in 2013 and my mom passed in 2010. Since my parents have passed, I've definitely gotten along with them better, and I've had days where I could smell my dad all over the house. The interesting thing is I'd totally forgotten until you said that, but I had like 3. I don't normally have it with my mother, but I had 3 incidents in Mexico, enough where I was like, Mom, what the hell are you doing in Mexico? 2 of the things my mother always said to me, and I mean, they're not coincidence, because one Abraham says all the time. It was just that in the connection, It was like, whoa. The first one was my mother always told me as a kid, no matter how crazy she sometimes seemed, things always work out for you. That's like a core Abraham, what they say. The other one she said, and they said that, was... Thank
you, Angela's mother, for the reminder.
If it feels good, it is good.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then the third one was...
Thoughts. Right?
The third one was that I went on this cooking lesson to this restaurant in downtown Cancun, right? And my mother had this wooden carving that she'd had my entire life, right? And I walk into the front of this restaurant, and there was a carving that looked like it could have been done by the exact same artist. It was so close. And it's like, Mom, what you doing in Mexico? Because she just kept coming up.
Oh, I love it.
Wow. So I totally do believe you, and have had, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, like with Elsie's cat, your realization that your cat didn't die actually is a result of the fact that you are aware of true love for your cat. Now, this is a real interesting thing. Do you know that when we see somebody loving them?
Wow.
Yes.
Makes sense.
This is
Makes
amazing.
sense.
When you're missing somebody in that moment, you're not loving them. Why? What does this mean?
Wow.
You have a thought of separation. That's not love.
Mm.
That's the thought of separation.
And it's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
And yeah. It's a horrible feeling. So now the egoic illusion down here in this temporal life, right? Again, it's not bad. We're here on purpose for God to experience itself. So it's certainly not bad. It's delicious. Holy moly. I love being a sentient being. I mean, I don't happen to be a tantric practitioner, but I'm very tantric. What does that mean? I love to see. I love to touch. I love to feel. I love to eat. I love everything delicious, right? It's luscious to me. I love money. Oh my gosh. I love having a lot of money and doing stuff. It's delicious. Okay. So, and that's why I teach these things, because it's actually very practical to be a metaphysician. I remember the first time I ever, like 15 years ago, oh my gosh, I'm telling on myself, you guys, but I laugh at myself when I think 15 years ago, I thought Dr. Wayne Dyer was the biggest idiot that ever walked.
Wow.
I thought, what does this have to do with life? Why is he talking about all of this metaphysical stuff? What does it have to, I would throw his books down and think, all those people are crazy. Hey. By the way, can you see how I created and attracted my mother saying that I needed medication? I thought that in the past.
About people like you.
About people who are now just like me. Exactly. So no wonder she thought that. So I don't hold it against her. I observe and go, wow, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? I used to do the same thing. I used to feel that way. Okay, so bottom line of all this is it's very practical. Why is it so practical? When you know you are divine, having a physical experience, and that you're not this body, the confines of the body you think you see mean nothing. My spirit is so much bigger than this. My spirit is all the way over there in Napa. And my spirit is all the way over there in Long Beach. And my spirit is with you in Cancun. And it is delicious, right? And it's all at the same time. When you know that, and I've had many spiritual experiences that validate that for me, that awareness of oneness and those satori moments where you know you're one with all things. I've had many of those now at this point. In fact, they're so luscious to me. I just want them all the time. But you can't make them happen. You just accept them with grace and appreciate when they do happen. But the fact is, I am very aware of the oneness. I've experienced it enough. That's the only place I want to live. What is that state? Divine mind, which doesn't need a process. Law of attraction is down here in the illusion, you guys. And that was the thought that started me talking about this when you talked about your Abraham Hicks cruise. Law of attraction is actually, God doesn't need it. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, going back to the Jesus, Jesus for me has been an illusion my whole life. Every time I go into church and just look at the Jesus statue, I start crying. And I know it has something to do with whatever my brain absorbed through growing up. So when I hear the name Jesus, the whole picture of everything I've ever learned about Jesus is what comes up. But when I feel what he's all about and what I'm learning about him now, I get a whole different result. So I just try not to, right?
A whole different result. So it's a matter of perspective where you're coming from. If you are in this egoic illusion trying to remember that you are a divine being, then you need everything Abraham is teaching you of how to live more effectively in this egoic illusion. Now, let's put this in perspective. Law of attraction is something we together collectively, we divine mind, we God, made up law of attraction so that we could have experiences in this egoic illusion. We, God, made up science. And the proof that that is true, the evidence that that is true is quantum mechanics. It's physics. It's hard physics that every time you look at science, it changes.
I remember you taught that, yep.
The very act of looking at it changes it.
Observer effect.
Observer effect, exactly, Angela. That's exactly right. Observer effect. So we, God, made up all of this stuff. Now, when you get this, when you know this, you can come from divine perspective and realize, okay, I'm going to create something now. And you speak it into existence. And it happens so fast. It's like, whoa! I mean, we're down from a few weeks to a few days or a few hours in the same day. And the thought of a time is totally an illusion when you know you're divine. Yes, Angela. And then, yeah.
Well, but the thing is, as you said, when your dad died, you cuddled up and were upset.
I did.
You will always return to the egoic illusion while you are this, because it is the nature of us. Well, I write about it over and over again. You meditate, we're aware, we're awake, we get it, and the next thing you know, you're waking up and you're aware and you get it again, but it's like, what the hell was all that?
Right. And I would have to say, I'm going to I use maybe a little bit different terminology. You're not wrong. You're completely right. But the word, the nature of us, I would never use that terminology myself personally because it's not my nature. My nature is divine. But I am choosing. Why am I here? I'm choosing to have a sentient, meaning senses, experience.
Which is the nature of that sentient experience.
That's what you mean by nature. Okay. Good,
exactly.
Good clarification. I'm here for that purpose, so why would I resist it?
Exactly.
That's what I love, eating food. I love making love. I love,
but
swimming
you don't
naked. I love, everything great.
But you don't love huddling, feeling bad for yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I have to say, but
it's a release. Maybe
it's almost interesting. Negative feelings are an interesting experience now when you know you are not that. And that it will not hurt you. See, now, in this egoic illusion, this is good, you guys. When you know you are God and you're not attached to the illusion and you know that is not actually hurting you, you can go ahead and feel your negative feelings and nothing bad happens, because divine doesn't create that way. Divine just experiences. Divine is not hurt by law of attraction. So you can feel the negative feelings if you're enjoying it. I know some people who absolutely love feeling, all the heaviness and the burden. Hey, in our divine awareness, that doesn't hurt us one bit. And just because you're having, when you know who you are and you're coming from this perspective up here, divine mind, you don't have to create something crappy happening to you because you spent a bunch of time feeling like shit. You don't have to. You are not stuck in that. God doesn't have karma. What is karma? Just energy. Energy coming back on itself. God is that. God is everything. So the divine mind, when you're in divine awareness of who you really are as a divine being, you can go, you know what? I'm going to feel this just because it's feeling delicious to me, even if it feels heavy, horrible. Oh, you want to cry. When I was actually mourning my father and curling up like in a little fetal ball and sucking my thumb, like almost literally sometimes, I was enjoying myself. And I am totally not in any way addicted to suffering. I'm not addicted to suffering.
But you guys, isn't it just creating flow of the energy? We're not keeping it trapped or trying to like not notice it.
Precisely,
right? Yeah.
Talk about that some more. Teach us, sister. Go, because you're 100% right.
Well, because I've been trapped in that place for so many years, and thank goodness for personal development to free me.
Yeah.
But I would feel trapped. I'm all about freedom. It's all about freedom for me. And
love is freedom.
Like money. You've taught me. Oh my gosh, you are my shining star when it comes to money. Just it's got it. It goes out. It comes in. It's got to flow. You don't just collect it. Same thing with.
By the way, that's why it's called currency. It's a current of flow.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. It's just always moving. And I think someone just asked me how I created, because I just created a course. I published it yesterday. And I'm getting people asking me, how'd you do it? What'd you do? And the thing was, I stopped thinking so much and thinking, how is it going to happen? Just do it. And I even tried to get the platform to let me go because it was stressing me out so much. They wouldn't, because I passed the 30-day refund.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was forced to do it. And days later, it was done.
Nothing bad happened that you were, quote unquote, forced. Your divine nature created that to get the word out.
Right. I just kept moving, flow.
Yeah.
So when you say that you were in that place of that mourning, but it felt good, the thing that goes through me was you were moving it. You were actively doing things to move it. So it wasn't torturous. It was enjoyable because it was moving.
Because I was coming from a frame of knowing who I really am and that this won't hurt me, I'm going to go ahead and feel this. I'm going to go ahead and experience this. Now, if you're coming from the egoic illusion, forgetting that you are divine, thinking you need a process to fix you or to create something, well, then use the law of attraction process if you want to, or use the A Course in Miracles process. Jesus himself said it's a process. That's what Abraham is teaching, which I'm absolutely convinced. The consciousness we call Jesus Christ, since we're all one, the consciousness that we call Jesus Christ is actually part of Abraham.
Just this time, and this is one Abraham says quite frequently, they would reference Jesus in terms of healing people and then telling them to go forth and speak nothing. And it was because that they knew that the egoic consciousness would then make them start talking about it and dwelling on how bad I was, and now I'm sick again.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So what is healing? According to A Course in Miracles, healing is simply a shift in perspective. When you go from down here thinking you're a body, I'm a body. This could hurt me. I'm sick. My body is causal. When we're thinking like that, we create sickness. We think we're sick. When we transcend that and go, wait a minute, I'm not a body. I am a divine. I am divine. I am spirit. Your body is healed. That's why I'm telling you now. I realize being a metaphysician is extremely practical. I haven't been sick in 20 years. People tell me, I'm so tired, I'm so drained, I'm so sick. I'm like, really? I almost don't remember it. Well, how that feels. You know, I'm like, I think I remember a little bit, but only because I'm here only to be truly helpful. That's, of course, the Miracles terminology. That's why Abraham channels, by the way. Blessing to that element of oneness that we are, that consciousness of Abraham is actually channeling into this egoic illusion processes for living more effectively in this egoic illusion, so that he can be helpful.
Right.
He's here only to be truly helpful. Here only to be truly helpful. So here only to be truly helpful, I'm coaching people, right? I'm training coaches all around the world. I'm teaching A Course in Miracles. I have classes here in my home all of the time, energy medicine classes. You know, yeah, one of these days somebody's going to say, we need to videotape you, and then they're going to start doing it, and it'll all be on video. I don't want to do any of that. Somebody else can do it for me if they think it's necessary to do it. I'm not going to do any of it. I don't like that stuff. Somebody else can do that
that's
part.
Not your thing.
So,
yeah,
that's just not my thing. So, and I don't care, and I lack nothing. I mean, I've had people say, well, wouldn't you get more money? And I'm like, I don't live in that realm where that's an issue.
Right. That's cool.
I don't live in that realm. I'm here. It happens as I am in the flow, as we've talked about. I'm just in the flow. Do what's in front of you. By the way, our wonderful sister Louise Hay taught me that. I want to give you my favorite Louise Hay quote. You've heard me teach this before, both of you, since you've been my student in the coaching program. I love this Louise Hay quote. It's absolutely fabulous. Your heart is imbued with eternal knowledge of your soul's purpose. It is beating out the vibrational frequency to bring it, your soul's purpose, to bring it to you. Do what's in front of you. Now, if you're coming from the perspective of the ego with that quote, end quote, do what's in front of you. Oh my gosh, that set me free. Because I always used to try to figure out, should I do it or shouldn't I? Divine brought it to me. Yep, do it. Oh, and now this is really amazing in relationship coaching, you guys, because in relationship coaching, now I realize I tell everybody, date that guy. Date that woman. If she's in front of you, if she was brought to you, if she's liking you, there's a lesson there for you. Stop judging and assessing. Well, I don't know if she's the right one. Well, I don't know if he's the right one. Forget all that crap and do what's in front of you. What do I mean by that? Love the one you're with. You know, that's a very awakened song. Who sang that?
Totally, right?
Love the one you're with. That's a very awakened song because your energy field attracted that person. Which means there's a matching vibrational frequency you are holding, thinking is you are identifying with, that has brought that person to you. When that person is drawn to you, there's something in there for you to learn or for you to see about yourself. Stay with it. It doesn't mean you're going to marry them and it's going to be permanent. It doesn't mean you have to have sex with them. It doesn't mean any of that. Spend time getting to know them. You will face all your judgments. Hey, we have some new people. Hi, Hook. Hi, Hook. Chain Stitches.
You want to know the weird
Crosby,
thing?
Stills, and Nash. Thank you, Randy. Thank you. Love the one you're with is Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Thank you, brother. Yes. I think Elsie is showing us something, and then Angela has a thought to share. Go, Elsie.
Thank you. That's my daughter's drawing. She's really into hearts. Everything is hearts.
Yay.
Yeah, she's my best teacher.
Okay. Babes. Everything follow the heart. Yes.
Follow the heart. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Angela.
Well, while you were talking about loving the one you with and take the things that come to you, over on my text messages, I actually got a job offer.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I told them I was busy till 11.
That's awesome.
It was so bizarre.
Go up and play with Blab and they can get to know you better. That's fabulous.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Wow.
Okay, I want to read what Randy just typed in because it's really cool. If you're down and confused and you don't remember who you're talking to, concentration slips away because your baby is so far away. Well, there's a rose in a fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. Awesome. Thank you for those words, Randy. That's exactly right. Crosby, Stills, and Nash was they were in a state of awakening when they received and channeled those words. I believe all excellent music is actually channeling our divine awareness, our inner divine knowingness.
All excellent everything.
Yeah. So I want to tell you, my son, Joshua, you know his situation and that he is a recovering drug addict. Okay, so my son, he and I are so close. I mean, I love being his mother. It's just fabulous being his mother. And a lot of people might feel like I ought to be down in emotional hell feeling guilty because my son's a drug addict, but I don't. And I'm not in emotional hell, and I love him, and we have this great experience. And he's recovering, but, sometimes he dips down into what I'm going to call, the egoic illusion, and he goes down to emotional hell, right? Every now and then. And when he is in emotional hell, he has told me, and now this, I'm going to tell you, this is awakened thinking. And I got to say, my children, all three of them, Joshua, Chelsea, and Whitney, have all been some of my very best spiritual teachers. My kids teach me. Well, they say I teach them back. So you see that flow of giving and receiving are the same. But my son said to me, very recently, I don't know, a week and a half ago or something, he said, Mom, I don't need to be happy like you do. And I realized we are two sides of the same coin. Microcosm, macrocosm, as above, so below, implosion, explosion, equal opposites is the way the universe works. It is. You can't know light if you've never experienced what you perceive to be darkness. You can't know darkness if you've never experienced light. Two sides of the same coin, you see. And my son said to me, Mom, I don't need to fix when I feel this way. Ooh. I'm like, go, kiddo.
Yeah.
Teach me, you sage. Isn't that in what he says? I don't need to fix it because I don't feel like it's broken. I am, and I said, so you're addicted to suffering? And he said, maybe that's what it is, but I don't care because I'm actually enjoying my life. Ooh.
Right, he knows his soul. He knows something. It's like he may not understand why, but he's aligned. Like, just trust.
Yes, he is aligned with trusting. And let me tell you, he's a lyricist and a singer. He's trained at the Los Angeles Institute of Music. Come on, I should know the name of the school. Los Angeles Institute of Music. Well, I think I'm not saying it right, but maybe I am.
Close to that.
Yes, close to that. And he's trained there in vocal performance. And as a performer and as a lyricist, he writes music. Well, he also writes the score. I shouldn't just call him a lyricist, but he writes this amazingly awakened lyrics. He's been doing it since he was a kid. In fact, I'll never forget when he was a little bitty kid, he actually wrote this. He had an assignment with his English teacher. He was 10 years old, and he had an assignment with his English teacher to write a short story that taught a lesson. His short story was so deep and so, I'm going to call it heavy, for a person who is like me, who is joy incarnate, okay? That's just the experience I choose into. I'm not resisting negative feelings. Like I said, if I want to have the experience of feeling the quote unquote loss, I know there's no such thing as loss, but in this illusion, we think there's loss in this egoic illusion. When I actually enjoyed feeling the loss of my father. I enjoyed it. It was an enjoyment for me to feel loss. So those equal opposites, right? So my son wrote, when he was 10 years old, this short story. It was about looking through a window and watching people suffer. He was observing it through a window and seeing their suffering and experiencing it through watching them. He was 10 years old when he wrote this. And it seemed heavy and it seemed dark and I was almost worried about him. And I went to his teacher to have a conference, and I said, "Can I talk with you about my son's short story? You gave him an A+." And she said, "Yes, it was amazing. It was so articulate, and he didn't use any incorrect grammar. All of his punctuation was perfect. He's 10, and he's writing this amazingly deep stuff." And I said, "Well, I'm kind of worried about him. Isn't it kind of dark? Isn't it kind of morose?" And she said to me, "That's probably what Steven Spielberg's mother thought." Oh, good point. Talk about a paradigm shift, a shift in perspective. So I'm not worried about my son anymore. No matter what he's experiencing, he's enjoying his life. He's enjoying his experience. Even when it looks to me like he's suffering, that's a judgment, isn't it?
Right. Yep. I go through this.
I have no right to judge how he wants to experience his incarnation. I'm enjoying being his mother. He and I are super close, so we can talk about everything. Nothing is off limits. It's amazing. In fact, I was going to say one of these days we should probably invite him to one of these blabs. It's really interesting to have that equal opposite. He and I are like light and darkness. I mean, but there's no darkness in him. It's all light. And he says the most amazing things to me that really make me think. Like I said, my kids are some of my best teachers. And he was having this, what I perceive to be dark moments. And he says, "Mom, I don't want to fix it." He was crying and on the phone with me, just bearing his soul. And I thought it was heavy, and I started to move into fixing it. And Spirit pulled me back. Fixing it, Janeen? Like it's broken? He can have that experience if he wants to. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was restored to peace while he was experiencing what appeared to be emotional hell on the phone with me, just hearing it. And he was enjoying his experience of his emotions. And then he said to me, "I feel perfectly peaceful about this now." When I was restored to peace, letting him be in what appeared to be suffering, he was restored to peace. The suffering dissipated, and then he was just like neutral. And he said, that actually felt good to me. I love the intensity of it. And guess what? He wrote this most amazing song he just recorded out of that frame. I mean, all of these musicians who write this amazing stuff, you and I don't know what they were experiencing that was the impetus for that writing, but some of the most amazing things are birthed out of what appears to be suffering.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, nothing bad is ever happening, ever. We just judge and assess. When we're in egoic consciousness, we judge and assess. He corrected me in that moment, and he was right. And in that moment of shift that I experienced, I went back up to divine awareness. Nothing bad is ever happening. Yay!
I know that feeling. I know that feeling of like, oh my gosh, everything's okay.
Exactly. Everything is really okay.
That peace. Oh, it's so free.
Peace. Yes. My favorite phrase, process, if you will. It's very simple shift. Down here in the Egoic Illusion, the Course says when you have or are experiencing an illusion that you are not enjoying. Now, see, my son doesn't want to fix it because it's an illusion he's enjoying. Okay. He's enjoying it. As long as he's enjoying it, why the heck should he fix it? So just because mother judges that it must be suffering, right? So when we're down here in this egoic illusion and we experience something other than peace, That's how you know if you're in divine awareness or illusion. Now, I want to point something out about my son's experience. Did he feel an absence of peace in his suffering?
Nope.
He was happy. He says, I don't have to be happy like you do, the same way you do. He's like, I'm not upset about my experience. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And that's the thing.
My teacher.
That's with my.
Yeah.
Well, my cat. Yes. I knew something was wrong, and I started to freak out. And I'm like, but he's not freaking out.
Right.
I'm assuming I know, right? And sorry, I just had to say that real quick.
Oh, I'm glad you did. You're exactly right. Your cat wasn't upset that he was passing into a different form. Yes, Angela, you were going to say something, sweetie.
It reminds me of a long time ago in life, a long time ago, when I was focusing more on photography, and I was taking photo classes, and I was taking a photojournalism class, and I did a photojournalism study of this homeless man that used to be right outside where I worked. And I talked to him about his experience and why he was like that. And that really makes me think about him, because we as society, or we as individuals, could take his choices and why he was there and say, oh, he screwed up, he's not thinking right, blah, blah, blah. But he was absolutely at peace with his decision and not having any problem with living that way.
Exactly. It's just like our judgment of other people's quote unquote poverty. I mean, if they're sweeping dirt floors and they live in a hut,
but they're happy.
Yeah, sometimes we judge. We look and go, oh my gosh, how awful, they must be so poor. But they're actually enjoying their life. That was a very poignant experience and lesson for me when I was living in India for that while, attending Oneness University. Oneness University and ACIM teach exactly the same stuff with different symbols and terminology. Exactly the same stuff. So, but I think all of the religions do. You already know that about me. I think all the religions are teaching the same thing with different words and pictures, right? They're all the same, which is good.
Yep.
Just different words and pictures resonate with different people. But when I was there, it appeared that people were poor. You would think they should be really miserable, but they were actually at peace and happy and enjoying their nice, easy life. It's our looking at it that makes us suffer when we are adding meaning that it should be some other way instead. No, it shouldn't be some other way instead. It should be right like this. And Angela, in the very beginning of this conversation we're having right now, you mentioned that when you were at the seminar or workshop with Abraham, that Abraham taught acceptance.
I don't think I said it exactly like that.
You said the word accept.
Whatever it was. To accept what comes as if you'd ask for it.
Accept what comes. So that
is your reaction.
Do what's in front of you. Accept it. Don't think it should be some other way instead.
Right.
That's what Buddha called the seed of all suffering, is thinking it should be some other way instead. The seed of all suffering, thinking it should be some other way instead. So accepting. So the opportunities that come to you, like you got a job offer, it came to you. Say yes. If it feels the slightest bit delicious to you, even an itsy bitsy bit, a little burst of yes energy is God energy. It's God's leading. It's divine energy flowing through you, bringing to you that which will fulfill you. And it's the same with my son. He's actually enjoying his life experience, so I'm happy. My son is happy. He's enjoying it this way. So yay. And so when we don't think it should be some other way instead, we get to be happy. Now, it's interesting because A Course in Miracles actually teaches 3 levels of prayer. Now, remember, in Divine Mind, there's no levels. There's no levels of miracles. In Divine Mind, Divine Awareness, there's no levels. The shift in perspective that heals being crippled is not more difficult than the shift in perspective that heals a cold. The shift in perspective that heals the knowingness of who you really are, that you are not a body, you are a spirit. The shift in perspective that heals a cancer is not more difficult than healing a cold. It's simply a shift in point of view. Remembering who we are. We are not a body. Then we morph our body into whatever we want, and it happens very quickly. See how practical being a metaphysician is? That means you can heal a stomach cancer. That means you can heal any kind of a cancer. That means you can heal. Oh, wow. Here's a good one. I had a student a couple of weeks back on the phone who said, I have herpes. I don't want to have herpes. And she wanted to be healed. It was actually genital herpes, and she was all upset about it and wanted to heal it. And I'm like, okay, so shift that you are divine, having a sentient experience. Remember back when you were thinking you were a body, all the ways you judged your sexuality. That's how we create STDs, judge our sexuality. I'm not teaching everyone to go be promiscuous. Please don't take this out of context. But I'm simply saying, you want to heal something? Quit judging it.
If you want to be promiscuous, go ahead.
Yeah, you're a divine.
It's your choice.
That's right, exactly. It's divine. You get to choose what experience you want to have. Right? Yeah. So you're judging it and saying, all that sex you had, oh well, hope you enjoyed it. All that. And as soon as she did, her body relaxed. She's like, that felt good to me. She was lifted into divine awareness. 2 weeks later, she said, I'm not having any outbreaks right now. I wonder how long this will last. And I said, forever? You watch. And, doctors, in the Egoic Illusion allopathic medicine, which I'm not saying is not divinely inspired, there is a place for every healing modality. They are all divinely inspired. So is allopathic medicine. But allopathic medicine deals on the level of the body, which is a symptom and effect, not a cause. Okay, errors in thinking, errors in mind, errors in thinking who we are is causal. Allopathic medicine is normal Western medicine, by the way, in case you didn't know that word. But a normal Western medicine deals with the level of symptom. So they'll treat the symptom, and they say on the level of the symptom, they say on the level of the effect, the body, that herpes can't be healed. Right? It can be healed. Shift in awareness. So, of course, in Miracles teaches there's no levels. There's no difference. It's a shift in perspective that reminds you and causes you to know who you really are. That heals everything. Heals what? Everything. Money. No more fear about money. No fear about love. No fear about death. No fear, no thoughts of death. So I'm going to tell you something that literally my husband and I just had this, because my mornings are my meditative time. That's why I don't do anything early in the morning in my time zone. I don't take sessions. You cannot get me away from my pondering time, my contemplation time, my time in ACIM, my time with me, my time to chant, sing, dance, whatever it is I feel like doing in the moment. Okay, nobody gets me in the morning. So nobody bothers my mornings. That's protected. So my husband and I were doing our morning, I'm going to say ritual, just our contemplation time. And I had this aha. I had this new awareness, this shift in awareness, right? And I realized, you know what, honey? Because my husband is all about obtaining the light body. Everything he teaches, everything he does is all to obtain the light body. Well, I didn't know that that's where I was headed, but of course, Miracles teaches me that's where I'm headed. Then along comes my husband, Paul, and he's teaching the light body, and I went, oh my gosh, that's the next step. That's the next thing. He's all about the light body. Well, why does that even matter? God doesn't have karma. Why should we repeat the cycle of incarnation and have to learn how to not wet our pants and how to feed ourselves all over again and learn how to speak languages? Why not just carry on and live forever?
Because we chose to be a...
If you want to choose to be a baby again, you can, and nothing bad is happening. Right? If you want to choose to be a baby again, you can, and nothing bad is happening. But you don't have to choose that. There is another choice as well, and that is the obtainment of the light body. And most people don't know there's another choice available.
I want to be a muse. I want to inspire people. Be that energy of inspiration.
Yes, I'm a muse. I want to be a muse too. Let's be more of a muse. Let's be a muse.
Yes.
So the light body. So what I realized this morning, because my husband's all about the light body, and we're doing our contemplations and our ponderings together this morning, and it occurred to me, oh my gosh, the ego's impersonation of the light body we call death. So the ego thinks it has to die. The body has to die. And then we think that in the egoic consciousness, coming from that point of view, which isn't bad, it's just a point of view, right? So when we're coming from the point of view of being a body, we think we have to die to become part of the consciousness that Abraham and Jesus are a part of, unless they're, reincarnated in another form. But but all of that form stuff is down here in the egoic illusion. It's not divine mind. Form. Whereas when we're aware of who we really are, light body, we don't have to die. We just carry on. Who knew that was even possible? Wow. So it's very practical, because this level of consciousness to which I've evolved now, I don't want to have to go back and start all over again learning this, remembering it. I know I would come back at the same level of awareness, but why waste all that time learning how to walk, learning how to speak English or whatever language I'm born into?
And you'd establish more programs.
Exactly. To start all over again, establishing new programs. Well said, Elsie. That's right.
Except you'd have the flip side.
Carry on forever. So if I ever die, you'll forgive me.
Create more stuff.
If I ever die, you'll forgive me, won't you? It's my choice not to. Now that I know the light body is a possibility, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Jesus did it. Jesus got the light body.
I use his energy. I call in his energy all the time. So thank goodness, right? I can tap into that.
Right.
Yeah. The inspiration.
So now this gal that healed herself just with a shifting consciousness, and it took a half a minute to heal herself of genital herpes. The minute she had that shift in consciousness, that awareness that she was judging her sexuality and our sexuality, the minute she had that awareness, she healed herself, right? Now I said, now heal yourself from the belief in death, and you'll transcend all sickness. So the devil ego, please forgive me, I got to answer this call.
Okay.
Hello, son. I was just talking about you in this blab. Can we talk soon? I'm in the middle of a blab on the internet. Say hi to everybody in the world.
3 minutes left.
Angela and Elsie. Say hi.
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 I was just talking about you, so I went ahead and had them say hi. I'm on a blab on the internet. I'll call you on your phone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, kiddo. Isn't that neat? He's probably having some amazing epiphany right now he wanted to share. Yeah, but that's cool. All right. So anyway, all of this is just simply to say, now that I know that that's even a possibility, why should I settle for less? But less, it's choice. For me, it's all just choice. There's no right or wrong. I mean, for me now, it feels like it would be settling for less to say, let's go ahead and die. When I realize that is in this egoic illusion, that is the imposter for the light body. We think we have to be dead to move into the consciousness of all that is. Why not stay alive in this body, using this body whenever I feel like it, and go back and forth between light body and this one and light body and this one like Jesus does. Now that I know that's possible, hey, it feels like lesser choice. It feels like a lesser choice for me to say, all right, let's go ahead and die. That feels like a lesser choice for me. For me, it's not a lesser choice for people who choose it. It's just a choice. But here's an interesting thing. You have to be aware of, your consciousness has to have evolved to awareness that light body is even possible before you could ever choose it. Right? Before I met my husband, it never even occurred to me it was a possibility, even though I find that very hysterical, because of Course in Miracles completely talks about it all the time. I just never saw it before. And then my husband comes along and plants the seed, thought, well, why not just get the light body, Janeen, instead of dying? And I went, Oh, and then now I see it everywhere in ACIM. But anyway, all of this is just
incredible.
All of this is just simply to say it's choice of experience. In the same way, my son said, well, death wouldn't be bad. It's really hysterical because when he has felt suicidal in the past, really, he actually was enjoying it. He's like, maybe I'll just kill myself and see what that's like. See what that's like. It's like, see what that's like. Let's experiment with seeing what that's like. It's just an experience. Nothing bad's happening. He can't be separated from me. It's not even possible. I don't care if he's not in the body. Because we are not a body, right? Yeah. So it's really interesting because I have sessions with suicidal people all the time because, you know, I'm a counselor and this personal development coach. I have sessions with suicidal people. Hey, send me all your suicidal people. If you don't want them yourselves, coaches, right? If you don't want them yourselves. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I move right into that. Let's talk more about that. What about that appeals to you? You know, we go right into it. So when my son was feeling suicidal back in the past, I would say to him, I think everybody can relate to that because I think we've all thought it at some point or another. We're lying to ourselves if we say we never felt it. You know what I mean?
My version of suicide was just, I wanted something to end. It wasn't that I wanted to experience it, but I realized later, wait, I just didn't like what I was going through. I wanted to kill it.
Beautiful. So that's where processes in this egoic illusion help, like love attraction. Learn to shift your thoughts so you can shift your feelings, so you attract and create something different until that elevates your consciousness high enough to leap over to divine mind where you don't need any of that stuff. And it happens at the speed of thought. Okay, so, or ACIM, it's also a process. Law of attraction's a process, ACIM's a process. That's all part of the illusion, right? Like science. That's part of the illusion. We know it's part of the illusion because every time we look at it, it changes. It's impermanent, you know, ode to impermanence. Anyway, so that, but when when these people come to me and they're suicidal, I love those sessions because also tell me more about that. How do you think you want to do it? What would you do? We move right into it. We talk about it some more. How would that feel? What do you think about? How do you think that might feel? Oh, wow. Would that be cool? What do you expect you'll experience on the other side after you do it? You know, we move right in. We don't resist it at all. We just start talking about suicide and how it feels.
Explore it.
Say it again.
You said exploring
we
it, right?
Explore it, man. We explore it. We talk about it. We don't resist it at all. We talk about it some more. And the most amazing things happen. After we talk about it, they're like, you know, I feel so much better. I don't even think I want to kill myself anymore.
Beautiful.
So now that is the opposite of what most people would think, what the ego thinks you should do. But when you come from a place of love and everything is love, you don't judge that as being a bad thing. And when you're coming from a place of love and not judgment, it ceases to be a bad thing and the person feels better. So actually the solution is not resisting it, moving right into it, talking about it. And then they feel good. It's amazing.
Ooh, that's great. Wow, what a share.
What are you thinking, Angela?
I know, come on. What's going on in here?
Just listening.
You little absorbent little sponge.
How about Super Tech? How are you, Super Tech? Are you still with us?
Yeah. Randy.
And Martina's joined. Hey, Martina's great. Randy's great. Martina's welcome. Martinez, it almost looks like.
Martino.
Oh, forgive me.
Does anybody have a question on any of what we were talking about?
How are you going to title this?
I know, I'm just thinking about
with Dr. J, we talk about suffering.
Light body awareness.
Genital herpes. Suicide. Light body awareness. Right.
Suicide.
Well, thank goodness for tags.
Suicide. Let's talk about
all of it.
If you put all of those tags, you're going to get a lot of hits.
Yeah, for real, right?
Suicide. Let's talk about it.
Seriously, yeah, I will definitely send them your way if I get any. But we were like, especially as coaches, I mean, in the beginning, my perspective was to go out and and assume I know who's hurting and who needs help, you know, and push services on them. And that's kind of how I started with trying to practice. But then I realized they need to come to us. So putting the course that I did yesterday out is something I enjoy. That was like, it was like writing a book or writing a song. And I put it out there, and whoever shows up, you know, have fun. Enjoy the course. Raise your joy now.
Awesome, Elsie, and I completely agree with you. The thought of needing to fix anything is the thought that's broken. As soon as you get into a session, you realize when you move right into not needing to fix it, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And why do you think that's so bad? And what's wrong with that? So thinking it should be some other way instead, when you approach everything from knowing that's the seed of all suffering, it fixes it to not think it should be some other way instead. And then you ask yourself, well, what do you really want? What do you hope will happen? That's your divine inner knowingness, right? And that is what fixes it, not trying to fix it. Mm-hmm. It's simply a shift in perspective. So, you know, A Course in Miracles teaches there's 3 different levels of prayer.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So there's levels of prayer, but there's not levels of miracles, because miracles are, you know, our divine awareness affecting the egoic illusion. Obviously, God doesn't need a miracle because God is that. Right? So in our divine knowingness, there's no miracles.
I consider coincidences like the same thing too, that you're in the right direction. I love them. I'm like, every time I get a coincidence, I'm like, bring more. I love those.
Awesome, Elsie. Awesome. Well, anyway, so the 3 levels of prayer. The first level is the thought of need. Oh, please, God, give this to me. Oh, God, give me more money. Oh, God, send me the love of my life. Oh, God, help me to blah, blah, blah. Okay, need, the thought of need. So the first level of prayer, the lowest level of consciousness, is the thought of need. And this is all still in the egoic illusion, because our divine doesn't need anything and doesn't even pray. It just states what it is and what you want, and it happens. What you choose. I prefer the word choose to the word want because of the vibrational frequency it emanates. At any rate, then this, so the first level is the thought of need. Oh, God, give me money. Something outside of you is going to answer that as the perception problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the second level is forgiveness. That's a level in the egoic illusion. There's nothing to forgive in divine knowingness. Knowing everything actually is okay and everybody's just experiencing whatever they're choosing in that moment to experience. There's nothing to fix. So forgiveness. The thought of forgiveness is that there's something wrong and that they did something wrong or that you did something wrong. Forgiving yourself, forgiving them. It's all a bunch of BS. Belief systems. BS. Belief systems. And all of that is in the egoic illusion, right? So the second level of prayer is forgiveness. A prayer for forgiveness, a prayer to be able to forgive. And the highest level of prayer, but it's still a level in the egoic illusion. Yes.
You have a caller calling in. Would you like to take them?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Is that Miss Danica? For sure. But let me just briefly, so I don't forget to tell everybody. The highest level of prayer, but it's still in the egoic illusion, is the thought of, hey, Miss Danica, we'll be with you in just a second, okay, sweetheart? She's so beautiful. Miss Danica, oops, out of the seat. Oh, bummer. Okay, at any rate, so in the highest level of egoic illusion, a prayer is praying is the thought of unity, and it's still in the egoic illusion because you're praying as if there's something outside of you, and it's thought of do for them what I want for me.
Oh, right.
Because it's still a them and me awareness.
Right.
But that's the highest level. It's like here's divine mind, here's egoic illusion, and those levels of prayer take you up in thought to where when you're up here praying, do for them what you do for me. Forgive them like I'm forgiven. give them money like I have money. Do for them as you've done for me. It's still a thought of them and me, which is a thought of separation. So it's still in the illusion, but it is so close that the Holy Spirit, which is that divine oneness principle, the Holy Spirit leaps us out of egoic illusion into divine mind, and we realize, oh my goodness, they are.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think I want to meditate on that. I'm going to take that prayer, start with that, and see how far I can take that.
Awesome.
Wow.
And it's not a surprise to me that there's 3 levels in the illusion, because everything in this universe comes down to principles of 3s. I was shown that in vision years ago, and now everything I hear from everybody, every spiritual teacher, every personal development teacher, new thought teacher, old thought teacher, everything in the Vedas, everything in the Gita, everything in the Tao, it all proves it. Everything happens in 3s. The pyramid kind of a thing. All right, so we were going to take a question. I guess we're not. Maybe Randy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides for Course in Miracles, are you studying anything? What are you like up to now? What's like something you're exploring?
Yes. I have a new favorite spiritual teacher. OMG. And it's me. No. I just had to throw that in mainly because it rhymed. But it is me. I am that. Everything is me, right? But showing up in the form of, are you ready for her name? I'll type it in. ConnieKaplan. I just found her 2 weeks ago. Amazes me. Connie Kaplan. Connie Kaplan! I don't know if you're listening to this, Connie, but we want to interview Connie on this show. She's really, really busy, so hopefully we can get her. Connie Kaplan is amazing. Here's her website, www.turtledreamers, TurtleDreamers.com. Now, I want to tell you why she's my new favorite spiritual teacher other than myself and the divine that flows through me. Okay, and I don't mean that as grandiosity. I mean it as divine grandeur when I say that. Okay, I learn from everybody. Okay, so I'm not trying to set myself up as something special. There's nobody special. There's no such thing. Okay, so but Connie Kaplan is explaining more detail on what I saw in vision of the principles of 3s years ago. Remember when I had that and I started teaching it in the webinars, in the personal development program, and in the group calls?
Yeah.
I had this amazing vision where the microcosm and macrocosm came together and how the double torus worked. I saw it in vision how everything worked, and it just blew my mind.
If you saw my notes, it went over my head. I mean, it was just too ready for it. So I just want you to know my notes.
You're probably ready for it now. At any rate, turtledreamers.com. Now, why Turtle Dreamers? Because the American Indians, the original indigenous people of the continent we happen to live on, they called the people of the American continent, the people who came here, turtle dreamers. They called us turtle dreamers because of what the turtle imagines and how the turtle shell represents growth and progression in the egoic illusion. You know, the shell has to morph, right, and become something more, and it's kind of like a protective device. So it's a thought in the egoic illusion, and so they called us turtle dreamers because we didn't seem to understand at first our oneness and how we're connected to all things, and we were, you know, raping and pillaging Mother Earth and all that stuff. We didn't seem to understand our oneness. So the American Indians called us turtle dreamers, and that's why she uses that phrase, because it's all about everything she teaches about transcending the egoic illusion. And she saw in vision and added, she doesn't even know I feel this way, but I bought her program, and I bought her, oh, do I have it here? No, maybe I don't. Hey, if you want to give me just a second, I'll go grab her book.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the chair for a minute. You guys talk to each other. You can purchase through Connie Kaplan her assessment of the 3 principles: ascending, descending, the ascending principles. Now you'll see the double Taurus as I say this. The ascending principles, and I'm using Hindu terminology right now. It's not Connie's terminology because Connie's terminology momentarily escapes me, but it's the maintainer principle. That's the maintenance of the illusion, just, you know, staying here in the illusion, which there's nothing wrong with that. But the ascending to divine awareness, the maintaining, and the descending, which is divine creating down to the physical experience, or you can create from the physical experience to the maintaining of it, and then up to the divine awareness, how it goes both directions. This is like I saw in my, you know, I called it creating from the body level up. That's a person who does yoga, as an example. They do yoga. They're using the physical body to influence a shift in their emotional body, which I call soul. She calls soul spirit, what I call spirit. Spirit is who we really are, because I use ACIM terminology, but what she means is spirit, the oneness that we really are. I call soul the personality. So that's part of the separation, it's part of the illusion, right? So there's the body, the soul, which is emotions and personality, and then there's spirit. So these three levels, you create from the body up. So a person who does yoga is then trying to set themselves free from all their emotional BS, belief systems, and then that is supposed to bring them up to awareness of who they really are. You see? So that's creating from the physical temporal up. Or, in my estimation, the easy way. Remember who you really are, and it will totally affect your emotions and set you free. And then that changes everything you see on the physical level. This is why I say being a metaphysician is so extremely practical. It affects the body level. It affects everything. It shifts everything. You get more money in your banking account, you know, easily and effortlessly. You get all the love you want and need. You get people who affirm you're awesome and you should be validated. I mean, everything changes in your physical temporal experience when you're creating from spirit, affecting and influencing the soul, which is the emotions and persona. And then it changes what happens on the body level. Okay, so there's both ways of creating it, and she talks about that in her book, but she breaks it down. She was shown by angels.
I love angels.
Yeah, she was shown by angels, and her story is fascinating, how it happened. She actually got a brain disease that made her sleep for like 13 months, and during that 13 months, she was taught by angels. Anyway, so the angels taught her all the different emotions within all those creative processes. Oh, wow. And how our soul's purpose, like my son's soul's purpose, would include experiencing, quote unquote, suffering, experiencing, quote unquote, silence, some of that. My soul's purpose isn't. And what is soul? My terminology, soul is emotions and persona. So that's the thought of separation, right? He's experiencing something separate from me. But so basically everything about Connie's process teaches us, basically it's a personality typing system that shows you your soul's purpose. I mean, it shows you your soul's purpose, and you will understand everybody around you so much better. It is absolutely, it blows my mind. And I'm going to go grab her book now. But Angela's going to ask a question.
I believe, too, what you're talking about. Recently, it's something I've been paying attention to somewhere just before vacation. I think Jeffrey Allen talks about it. I think it was him. Through the chakras, it's your chakras opening either from bottom up or a very physical way, or from top down, which is a more intellectual, spiritual, inspirational way.
Yes,
so,
Angela, exactly. Tell me his name again, Jeffrey Allen.
Jeffrey Allen. He does a lot of energy. Chakras, energy medicine.
Energy healing, energy medicine. Yeah,
brilliant meditator and brilliant speaker. Over at Mind Valley. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so what I want to say about that, I want to point something out real quick. What he is teaching there, maybe he actually defines it in this way, definition, you know. Maybe he defines it in this way, maybe he doesn't. But I want to point out to you that is the masculine and feminine energy channels. Masculine goes up, feminine goes down. So when you're in perfect balance, I want you to see the double helix here. Up and down, spinning, crossing over between the two.
Oh, there you go.
That's masculine goes up, feminine goes down, and it swirls between the two. And we all have that going up and down our spinal column and throughout our systems. So what he is teaching you is, of course, 100% correct. And it's amazing how macrocosm, microcosm, that very action is transpiring on a universal, global level. I mean, like with galaxies. And it's also happening inside our bodies. Proof that our body is an effect.
That's another interesting one with Abraham. They used to have that changing your thought in 17 seconds. The time they're saying is smaller now. It's 14 something. The gap is
awesome. Yes, I believe that.
The gap's changing.
Okay, and with that, hello there, darling little Elsie's daughter.
Oh yeah.
What is her name?
Say what's your name? Say your name.
Okay, I am gonna go grab that book.
Okay, and then I suppose we should start wrapping it up when you get back.
Yeah.
I have to tell
Chaos.
you. I have to tell you that my girl, again, like I thought it was a problem, right? Because my brain is set up to go, well, you're supposed to fit in this box and your special needs or whatever, you know, and she's really shy. But what she's told me, and this is why, you know, I learned so much from her, what she tells me is, Mom, I like being shy. It took me, Angela, a few times to finally accept that, you know, as I'm growing. But I think that's so cool. She enjoys being shy.
Absolutely. What's not to enjoy?
I know, right? You'll keep her away from boys. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding.
I tell you,
Mom, stop it.
I've thought about that a lot because I grew up in the country, right, pretty far away from other kids, and it was only when they start, revving you up for school and how you're going to meet all these other kids that you start feeling like you're missing something and you start wanting something. Otherwise, I was pretty autonomous and good. Okay, the book, The Invisible Garment, Connie Kaplan.
The Invisible Garment. I am going to look for that book.
Yeah, it looks
cool. Good. Thank you. Yay.
30 spiritual principles that weave the fabric of human life. 30 spiritual principles that weave the fabric of human life.
I love it. That's cool, Angela. Yeah, like what you were saying, though.
And I heard you say as I was running off to get the book that it's time we have to wrap it up.
Yeah, we're already 22 over. But
everybody liked it, I hope.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, everybody, I hope you liked it.
Valuable.
I don't know what And Nanny just joined. You know, maybe all of you, please join or subscribe to Angela and Elsie's channel. Because we do this from time to time. It's always good. And we want you to always know about it so that you can join.
Yep.
Hi, Nanny. It's good to have you here. So you're going to want to listen to the replay, all of you. We love you. We love you. We love you.
And Janeen is nice and comes and visits us about at least once a month or so, it seems like. So, yay!
I enjoy it. I love talking with you ladies. You awakened company. I love you.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so now I have to sing. Okay. I'm so glad we've had this time together just to have a laugh and sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, seems it's time we have to say so long. We love you, Carol Burnett.
Carol Burnett. Bye, everybody.